As the nation was celebrating its first Deepavali after self-rule, after the British left this country on the 13th of November, in preparation for which festivities and shopping was going on at a feverish pace, on 7th of November, a horde of absolute marauding jihadis landed on the town of Rajouri in Jammu region and captured it. The atrocities that they unleashed on the population, especially the Hindus and Sikhs of that particular town, is a story which has been buried in piles of history and apathy of governments. More than 30,000 people ended up being massacred within a time frame of less than a week. 7th to 13th, which happened to be Diwali, more than 30,000 were killed. Scores of women were absolutely horrifically assaulted, sexually abused, and thousands of them disappeared into Pakistan, never to be seen again. Those of them who could escape, they ran away into mountains, had to starve for several days before they were rescued and brought to safety of Jammu and other towns. Those that were unlucky and knew their fate chose death rather than falling into the hands of these barbarians. Whatever was available at their disposal, be it knives, be it poison, whatever was available, they used every means available to kill their own women. Their mothers, their wives, their sisters, their daughters had to be killed so that they don't fall into the hands of these hordes. Women folk who were left behind in their homes while the men shopped and who would never again return back, they chose their own modes of death. Those that did not have any means of killing themselves even resorted to breaking bottles and eating glass pieces to bleed to a painful death. This is a horrific story which the nation has not heard enough. Even in the town of Rajouri, where a building commemorating these massacres has been built called as Balidan Bhavan, even the town of Rajouri hardly knows anything about this. Especially the younger generation who have not seen these horrors are unaware of this particular tragedy. People of that generation who are 80 plus years, they recollect this horror. Women who are more than 80 years old, they even today they go to this Balidan Bhavan in the afternoon around 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, and they do bhajan in memory of those departed souls. Some of these women were victims themselves. They lost many of their kith and kin, their family members. Some of them themselves, they faced a lot of atrocities, and some of them were lucky enough to escape into the mountains along with their parents while they were still young. There are photographs in this Balidan Bhavan, which there are just few of them, but then they remind of the horror that was unleashed on this town from the 7th of November 1947. Especially there is a photograph of a heap of skulls in black and white. The photograph itself should send chill down the spine of any Hindu, because they were the skulls of the thousands of Hindus massacred in the Maidan land, which is now converted into an airfield. There are photographs of people who died, whose photographs could be obtained, but there are many families who have disappeared with no trace of their evidence left behind. There is a photograph of a woman whose face shows a scar of a knife attack. She was lucky enough to escape into the mountains. She died at a ripe old age, and her photograph is also put up there. It is such a sad narrative that successive governments from Kashmir, from Srinagar, be it the Abdullahs or the Muftis or even the Congress, they completely ignored the trauma, tragedies and sacrifices of people of the Jammu region. It was always Srinagar centric, and it was always a narrative which was anti-Bharat. It is time that every Bharatiya visits such places as much as they do visit holy shrines like Vaishnav Devi. Rajouri Balidan Bhavan is no less holy than Vaishnav Devi because it shows the character or it shows the sacrifice of scores of people who chose to die a painful death, completely ignored, unacknowledged death, rather than convert and lose their identity. Areas that have been reclaimed from Pakistan occupation include Rajouri, Poonch, and areas of Baramulla and Uri. The town of Mirpur was attacked on the 25th of November and more than 20,000 Hindus and Sikhs were massacred there as well. In fact, 25th of November, people in Jammu observe Mirpur Day. While Rajouri could be liberated on the Baishakhi Day, that is 13th of April 1948, Mirpur unfortunately could never be liberated because before the Indian army could cross over and take over the town, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, the then Prime Minister of Bharat, went to the UN and declared a ceasefire. Unfortunately, Mirpur is still under the occupation and control of Pakistan. These stories need to be told to the current generation to understand what went through in this nation. Those that ignore history are condemned to repeat it, said George Santayana, a great philosopher. If we ignore this history, we will end up facing Sartan Se Juda as we see after the Nupur Sharma episode. If we have to survive as a civilization, survive as a Sanatana Dharma, it is important that we understand the sacrifices and the trauma that our forefathers, our ancestors have gone through. Nothing exemplifies that than the trauma that the town of Rajouri underwent from the 7th of November to the 13th of November, Diwali Day. The town, especially the older generation, does not celebrate Diwali to this day. It is important that the mistakes of history are corrected, rectified, and the current generation uses whatever means available to them, visits these places, or at least has awareness of the trauma that this nation underwent, so that it does not have to happen to them or to their or to the generations that come after them.
Please subscribe to Nationalist Hub English channel for more interesting videos, and don't forget to like and share this video. Nationalist Hub, it's a news revolution.